Good morning, early afternoon. This is our last day of Tech Hub Live and doing our fireside chats, wrapping things up, reflecting on what we've seen and learned the last few days. My guest is Mike Roudi, CEO of Emergent Connext. Super excited to talk to Mike and learn a little bit more about what Emergent is doing. And mostly, I have to say, obviously, we've been talking about connected ag, smart tech, kind of the next step in interoperability, IoT, and so on. But truly, as we all know, if you don't have the fundamentals, if you don't have the infrastructure, if things can't operate as they should, and you know, we're kind of dead in the water, as it were. So when Mike and I were talking, kind of prepping for this fireside chat, I learned a lot from him, but I do want him to start, you know, who's Emergent? Where do you guys play in this space? And then we'll kind of drill down from there.
Yeah, so thanks for having me.
Sure.
It's a pleasure. We love talking about Emergent, but more importantly, we love really talking about what you need to enable technology. And what we do at Emergent is we build wireless networks to fill in what is frankly a fundamental challenge for the agriculture industry. Is just given that it operates by definition in rural markets, there's profound connectivity gaps over a farm. Some farms have all the connectivity that they want, but the vast majority of them suffer from not having internet access where they work all day long, which is a farm. So what we do at Emergent is we build networks. We build what's called a LoRa or a LoRaWAN network that I think is tailor-made for the ag industry because it is not a more expensive cellular network. It has two characteristics or propagation characteristics that are really important. Number one, the range of the network. So LoRa literally stands for long range. So when we put our radios up or our gateways, we could talk to smart devices that are up to 15 miles away, sometimes 20 miles if you're in the Midwest and it's flat. And then the other part that's really important is that these networks operate in what's called low power mode, meaning all the sensors that everybody talks about that are really important for smart farming, precision ag, they have a battery life that can sometimes last for 6, 7, 8 years. You know, if you think about a typical farm, you don't have the ability to run extension cords out into the middle of the fields for thousands of acres to power something. And when you have to think about putting up things like solar, it gets really expensive and the solutions get unaffordable. So that's really what we do at Emergent is we build those networks. And then what we do is we sell smart farming, precision ag, curated solutions. And then last but not least, we spend a lot of time and energy building a platform that allows a user, a farmer, a grower, a rancher to kind of see what's going on in their farms. So that's what we do.
Yeah. And you're a telecom guy. I mean, it's not like you're from the space trying to do, I mean, you're doing what you know.
Yeah, I am. I'm new to agriculture, and one of the favorite things that's, by the way, very intimidating, is anytime you meet a farmer, they start with, I'm a third, fourth, fifth generation farmer. And so now I like to say I'm a second generation telecom guy. My mother worked for the old AT&T, but I've been doing this for 37 years. And what's really fascinating about the agriculture industry is this conference is a perfect example. Is it's all about ag tech, smart. You guys are now calling it smart tech. But what kind of happened, and it's a little odd how it happened, is like people forgot the first part, which is like we need consistent internet access to power all these things. So everyone that's making applications, smart devices, ag tech devices, there's wonderful technology out there, but if you don't have a platform, a consistent national platform to connect to, it's loses a lot of its value, like instantaneously. It's like having a smart thermostat in your home, and if you don't have internet access or if power has been off for hours, then it has no value to you.
Right. And that's a good example because I've often wondered myself. I mean, there are, like you said, particularly in rural America and farming communities where there's not, high capacity broadband, et cetera. So I know you guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, but so Central California, some areas in the Midwest and the Mississippi Delta are where you're rolling out or where you're at now, and then you're
Yeah, that's right.
Where you
We're
at?
in 5 different markets, but the
Okay.
2 biggest ones where we started is we have a very large network in the Northwest Ohio, Indiana, Southern Michigan corridor. So
Okay.
right in the middle, the row crops that are there. We have a very large network out in Central Valley, California. So we serve the specialty crops that are out there, and then we're launching in the Mississippi Delta area. So our goal at Emergent is when we're done. I mean, if you're a telecom guy, you're never quite done building network. But the goal is to cover all 2.5 million square miles of rural designated space,
Wow.
which includes almost all agriculture. You can never say we'll cover everything, but that's the goal. So, and it will take years to get there. But what's really awesome about our business and the way we go to market and the affordable structure of the networks that we build is if we find a customer here in Iowa, which at the end of the show, we hope we have a couple new customers out here, we could just build a network right around their farm. We call it a demand network building, but we could just build it and then kind of come back in later with a bigger, broader network, and you start selling and building in sort of concentric circles, and they just get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Okay. So yeah, speaking of Tech Hub Live, you guys obviously have been on the floor talking to people. What are some of the things you heard? Some of the questions that were asked? Some of the feedback? What's kind of your take?
It generally falls into 2 categories. One is, we still all of us that are in this industry on the ag tech side, there's still an adoption curve issue, right? The value proposition to the user, to the farmer, to the grower, to the rancher, to the municipalities that are in the rural markets, it's not always obvious to them. Like, why would I do this? Because it's an investment. They have to go buy equipment. And frankly, in the agriculture industry, people have been burned in the past. Right? They were promised tech that was going to do this, and it didn't do it. So there's some skepticism. So we are constantly on the hunt, looking for solutions that work. And I'm stating the obvious, but it's not always obvious that they work. And things that you could put together. I think one of the biggest challenges that the industry has is we tend to always try and boil the ocean. We want to build something that does everything. And I think the reality is that if you could just start, and we talk about this in our company all the time, if you could just start with one simple, easy to understand solution that a farmer gets, like providing monitoring tanks on a farm. There's a lot of energy, a lot of resources. I have to go check tanks, make sure my fertilizer levels are right, my hot water is right. And if you could automate that for them so they could just look on a computer screen and they could see exactly what they want. What we always like to talk about is, instead of trying to sell them 85 different sensors that are going to do everything, if you get the first one, the second your customer says, but what about this? Then you got them, right? Then you just start solving problems. And, we always like to say, if you could think of a problem, there's a sensor out there. And by the way, we don't make sensors at all. We partner with great companies like our friends over here at Soil Tech, and we bundle our connectivity and we call it Field Vision, platform that shows you what's going on.
That's awesome.
But if you could get that first problem solved, then people just start asking, your customers will start asking questions. Hey, can you help me do this? Can you help me do this? I've got a compost pile over here that needs a probe in it because we have to be very deliberate on the temperature of that pile, or we can get in regulatory trouble. It can cause problems. It can, and we went out and found a probe that does that. And again, that's where the internet access is a great thing. You can just start looking for things.
I like the practical and pragmatic part of it. We just have a few more seconds. Just one last takeaway for the audience, or one last thing you'd like to impart?
Yeah, look, I think for this industry, for agriculture in particular, it's still, to me, it's mostly an analog industry. Every time I talk to a customer, or if we're talking to a farmer, the solution starts with, I've got a guy. I got a guy that does that. And all of the challenges that we talk about in this industry, rising labor rates, productivity, yield improvement. When you take in this technology and you really apply it very methodically, you could see a path to hitting all those goals. And I think starting with the basics, whether it's soil health, farm operations, ear tags for animals, and just pick one of those things off, see how it works, get comfortable in the skin of doing that, then you move to the next one. You don't have to bite and consume the whole sandwich.
That's a great strategy. Good takeaway.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.